Our treadmill stopped working. Today I'm going to show how I replace the belt and then lubricate the deck. And that'll keep this thing going for hundreds of miles more. I'm Mike with Tomahawk DIY. Let me show you how easy this is to do. It only takes a few simple tools. Let's get started. Before working on the treadmill, make sure you unplug it. Fully remove power. I'm going to just unplug the power cord. Now, under here is the motor. This is where the belt is that needs to be repaired. On this treadmill, there's 4 screws. A couple on this side and a couple over here. Let's get these pulled out and the cover taken off. Okay, when you first take that cover off, you're going to find lots of dust. So be prepared to kind of vacuum and clean things out. Be careful with the circuit boards and wires and connections. Over on this side, let's take a look at the belt. This is where our problem is. Okay, here's the motor with the belt that runs around here and around this wheel, and this effectively drives the whole treadmill belt ahead. So this is obviously a problem, that this thing was split in half and frayed. We've got to get this thing replaced. Took a little bit of looking online, but on Amazon I found the replacement belt 200J. I think it was A that this one needed. You can pay attention to the number of ribs and any markings here to find the right replacement belt for your needs. Here's the replacement belt from Amazon. Notice it also has that 200J. It should fit just beautifully. So an Allen wrench over here that needs to be loosened. It's going to allow this pulley to be removed out to the side. And then the Allen wrench right here needs to come up, be undone, so this whole roller can be moved out of the way. Now, after I show you this repair, be sure you stick around to the end of the video. There's an important thing that I learned a few days later, and I want to show you how to take care of that so you don't run into the same problem. We need to get this belt loosened, which means getting into the roller at the end. On this treadmill, I'll just pick it up. I've got to remove these end covers here. Just a couple screws on each of them. Okay, we just slide these covers off. Now you're going to need to move that. We need to adjust these bolts here to loosen the roller at this end. Give us some slack. I'm going to count how many times I turn it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our bolt out here, loosened at this end. We're going to slide the whole roller out. So you might be tempted to do what I started to do and then realized was not the correct thing. And that is trying to remove this entire roller. So instead, now that my belt has been loosened, I'm going to raise it up a little here. Now I'll take the new belt and I'm going to work it on under the tread belt and see if I can't get it onto the motor. Alright, so we're going to begin working this belt across the motor belt. We almost got this belt through. Alright, okay, let's get that line back up. Alright, now to see if we can get the belt on without having to loosen the motor. So I'm going to work it around here. And now I'm going to start rolling the roller and see if we can't encourage this belt to get onto all the treads. Okay, it doesn't look like it's going to want to go, so something else we're going to do. But first, I'm noticing I've got some broken bits of the old belt between our grooves. So let's see if we can't get those all cleaned out here. I'm going to try this toothpick here and see if we can't scrape any more of this gunk out. With our motor, it's all held with the metal bracket right here. We're going to try loosening it and sliding it in closer to help get the belt in place. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of mark where where it was positioned so that it's easier to restore to the original position. I'm going to take my 1/2-inch socket and loosen these bolts a little bit. I'm going to lift up under the motor and see if I can work the the belt onto it. If this doesn't allow the belt to go on, then we're going to come and loosen some bolts underneath to allow the motor to be repositioned a little bit. I loosened the bolts 3 times on the underside. That wasn't enough, so I loosened them another 3 turns for a total of 6 half turns. You might find it's a little different on your treadmill. Now at this point, I've got more play in the motor, so I can get my hands under it and move it around a little bit. I'm going to take my belt, get it positioned positioned in the grooves on our drive roller, and then I'm going to come and work it under the motor shaft. I'm going to get one hand under the motor, so I'm lifting under the motor and I'm working the belt down and on. I feel it kind of go in place and get in the grooves, so that's a good thing. It's now in all the grooves. It's feeling pretty good as I turn it. So with that, I've got to get this motor tightened back up. I'm going to do the reverse of how I loosened everything. There's 2 bolts down here. I'm going to adjust those to shift the motor location. And we've moved each bolt 3 half turns, so let's see how that did with the motor. So I loosened these a total of 6 half turns each, so I now need to tighten them 6 half turns. I'm taking a look at the position of these bolts. They're a little bit off from my marks. I think they're probably close enough, so I'm going to tighten them down, and then we'll see if we need to adjust them further. Alright, these are both feeling good and tight. We can get our roller position back in place now. So let's work on getting our roller positioned again. Okay, I'm paying attention at the positioning of this roller shaft. It's about halfway between each side, just like it was when I started. You may want to take some pictures before you begin. And now over here, I need to tighten this bolt down. This one's still showing. We need to get this bolt tightened back down. Okay, with our motor back in position, before we finish putting everything back together, I'm going to lubricate the deck under the tread belt here. Got some treadmill lubricant. I'll include Amazon links where you can find the replacement belts and some tread lubricant. Appreciate it if you use those links. They're affiliate links. Amazon sends a small commission my way when you make a purchase. It costs you nothing more. And it's a little way of saying thanks for making this video. And that's good for anything you purchase on Amazon, actually. So, I lift up my belt again, and then start at the front here and just work my way back. Reapply some lubrication here. We'll get this deck lubricated all the way. Alright, with the deck lubricated, that's some regular maintenance. I'm going to get this back roller repositioned, and then we'll try powering everything up and see if it works. Alright, so I messed around with these 2 bolts quite a bit. I'm trying to remember if I ultimately turned them 10 times or 15 times. But I need to undo it to get the belt tightened back up. I believe I started with 5 each and then tightened them more a little bit later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'll point out, when your treadmill's running, if the belt is moving, the tread's moving from one side, one way or the other, then you need to make some adjustments on one of these to help it stay aligned in the center of the deck. So, before I put the cover plates back on, we're going to test this and see how it looks. Obviously you want to be really careful, and there's moving parts, power, dangerous stuff here. So I'm just going to leave the cover off for a moment while I observe the belt, and then we'll then we'll get it all covered back up safely. We're seeing the motor moving the treads. I'm looking down both sides to make sure the spacing between the tread and the railings is remaining even. The motor seems to be running nicely. The belt is staying put quite nicely. I'll go ahead and turn the speed up a little bit here. Okay, that's looking good. I'm going to check it a bit faster. Now I'm going to slow it back down and get this thing stopped. I want to be really careful without a shield or protection over that belt. One thing I noticed was the belt periodically slips a little bit. So we need to adjust the tension first before we center it. But everything seems to be looking nice, so let's get it put back together. Once again, I'm going to fully power off and unplug this before I start messing around. I get the screws put on to secure the safety covers. If I can get it lined up there. To adjust the tension, because the belt is slipping a little bit, I'm going to turn each of these bolts a quarter turn to the right, so that's tightening it. We want to make our adjustments slowly, which is why we're only turning a quarter turn at a time. Alright, that adjustment seems to have corrected the tension issue, and the belt's no longer slipping. Alright, since this belt is pulling too far to the right, I need to come over here to the left and loosen it a little bit, counterclockwise. And then we'll turn it on at 1 mile per hour. You don't want to run it too fast. One mile per hour should be enough. Now with it running, we're watching for the belt to move. It's actually still sliding this way, which means we need to move more over here. Take another quarter turn. Start it again, let it run for a moment. I'm going to repeat this process until the belt moves back over this way and I get equal space on the two sides. Still going. Alright, it's actually moved too far now. See how narrow the gap is right here? Much wider over here. So, I need to stop and I need to adjust it back this direction. Stop the belt before making my adjustment. I'm going to actually back this off just a little bit from where it went. And I'm going to loosen this side a quarter turn. Let's turn it back on. Now watch the gap on each side. Our goal is to get them equal width. We're only running it at 1 mile per hour and we're letting it move slowly. Our gap on the left side has widened quite a bit. On the right side it's narrowed up some. If after it runs for a couple minutes it still hasn't finished moving over, then we'll turn it off and make another adjustment. Okay, this seems to have centered pretty well. Notice the width on this side and the width on this side. If I want to check this, I can actually take a little bit of blue tape here. Notice the width on this side and on this side. Nearly perfect. This side's a little more narrow. It's a little closer to the rail. Get these safety covers on down here. I'll get these guys tightened down as well. Okay, I'm going to turn it back on and let it run for a while. I'm going to watch these edges, especially as I'm using it. Okay, after running for a bit, I'm seeing the right side move a little bit towards the left. They're pretty good, but I'm going to keep a close eye on that. And if I need to, I'll make some additional adjustments with the Allen wrench. All right, there you have it. It wasn't so bad to replace that motor belt and then to tension and adjust the running tread. Please leave a comment, like the video, subscribe. Have a great day.